I'm going to be going over a list of books that I read and trying to give you a brief description about what the books are about. I'm probably over 10 books at this point easily. Let's see. Dragon Teeth was a book about fossils. Uh, Archaeologists wanted to take a trip to the west coast of the United States to find some of the fossils that were like more rare and special left out there before a lot of them were found, and it was worth a lot of money. And he had like Native Americans on his team, and their adversity was another group of people trying to beat them there. Mild violence and stuff, and expertise about traveling in the frontier world and stuff. And they eventually get the fossils, and the other guys don't. And that's like how he goes back to like the museum and donates them to a museum. Associate was a book about some sort of sexual assault charge that some college students went through. It was a video, and they had to go through a lot of evidence to figure out who was the guilty student that was there. I think they do. In the main character is a person who's trying. He's trying to be an attorney as well, and he ends up getting a job in like Buffalo, New York, or something. The whole story was about where he was going to try to do his practice at. One of the kids that was there was the person that did the crime they convicted, but it wasn't the main character. Um, Let me see what else. Fallen Angel was a book about a girl who either committed suicide or was killed in the Vatican. It was like a paint restorer slash private investigator that was on the case. They were stopping terrorists and this and that, and they eventually found the person. I think it was somebody who worked there. It was the person who did it, or one of those, somebody like that. I can't remember, but I remember they figured it out though, and it wasn't a suicide. Um, Let me see. What was the other ones? I read a Kevin Hart book. It was a children's book. I read two children's books so far in recent. It was like a book about a kid who made a movie in an after-school program, and his name was Toothpick, and he was like Sharp Claws, and like this bully kid, or like his friend that was like a bully, was the big monster, a bad guy, and a girl in his class made a movie, a spoof about smartphones being evil or something. That was pretty much the whole thing. Him and his dad watch it on YouTube. There was a book, I forgot what it was called, two books about Asia. One was like a Chinese restaurant family owned, and then a guy was like practicing his martial arts. And that was pretty much the bulk of the story. And he ends up getting arrested for something at the end of the story. Another one was about a girl who was a gardener slash artist, and she was learning how to do bow and arrow. And I made it to like probably three-quarters of the book, and just stuff about like the Vietnam Japanese War and stuff, being out in the woods looking for people, and like the guy who was the person she was apprenticing under. It was like I think he disappeared or something. Let me see what else. I read, let me see, a book called Power Couple. It was about a lady in the FBI, and the father ends up getting a job in the NSA because he's like an internet programmer. And their daughter gets kidnapped in the first part, and they have to find her. And like by surveillance, she gets drugged in Barcelona partying, and she gets kidnapped, and they find her off the CCTV. And then the mother gets kidnapped, and she escapes with like a nail and like nail polish remover, or so there's a couple things, lighter, when she goes to the bathroom and finds stuff in the little place she was trapped in. And then the father and the mother end up being enemies at the end. What else? Let me see. Black Beauty was a book about a horse that was like very special and very like capable, and very like they kept selling the horse from the horse's point of view, and they kept selling the horse to different people. It ended up being like a nice farm at the end, pulling a carriage or something. It was like carriage and sport and horseback riding and stuff like that. Summer House was a book about a murder. They follow all the leads and catch the murderer, but I just can't remember it all. That one's on my YouTube too. Black Beauty's on my YouTube as well. But yeah, that was one of the books I read. I read it a little bit